Tevez da solo, Tevez al limite dell'area, li fa fuori tutti, Tevez, si apre la porta, Tevez, gol, da dietro, Pirlo dentro,
Ciao Juventini, welcome back to the All Juve cast channel where of course it's all Juve all the time, and it's another day after and it's another victory to discuss. Whew, cutting her close yet again, but man, I really don't care anymore. It's just about getting those points, getting those results, and listening to the bitching from the rivals. I love it. I love it, man. We got Lucci with me today. We're going to tackle what was Juve Udinese. I have a feeling we're going to have some different perspectives from one another on the current state of Juve, but there is a lot to discuss. We're going to hit the news up first, okay? Then just briefly, we'll probably get back into the discussion after we recap the games. And we're going to do a little bit of Storm in the Barn after, but we might try and get some calls because, man, I was so carried away in the watch along yesterday. I didn't get to the live calls at halftime or even post-match, but we're going to try and get some in later on in this pod. So, Lucci, first off, how you doing, man?
Good, buddy. Good to be back. It's been a while.
Good.
Missed it.
Yeah, now we can get back into the rhythm of things. World Cup's over, get back to Juve, get the first 2 wins under our belt, and now we have a lot of waiting and anticipation for that Friday match against Napoli, which is going to be massive. We're going to say what's up to some of you in the live chat here. We got Jeremiah, guys. Happy for the 3 points. Inter, oh yeah, that makes it all that much sweeter. 2-2 draw against Monza yesterday. And hey, does Sampdoria keep the Vialli tribute going and maybe cause Napoli to slip up? Who knows? I wouldn't put anything past what's going on because hashtag Spalletti effect. Okay, it's going to happen. Vito, good morning, fellas. Need Milan to lose today. So Milan's facing Roma? Milan and Roma, I believe. So, yeah. That one's going to be the primetime game. So, yeah, it's going to be good. We got a couple other games starting in about, 15 minutes or so. So, we'll keep tabs on everything as we go. Bobby Oxell, yeah, gaining ground steadily. Hey, rung by rung, just keep climbing that ladder, baby. But Friday's going to be massive, everybody. All right. Beautiful part of AJC is up today. Oh, yeah.
You know it, Omer.
Buongiorno, Michael. Forza Juve, Michael Raso. Omer can only get better this weekend. That's right. Let's see what goes down. So, first and foremost, let's get a couple of the news outlines out of the way. There's not a whole lot, okay? But there's just a couple things. Karsdorp. Juve, according to Mirko Di Natale, not willing to actually get in there and bid at this point in time. I think we can all just say thank you for that. And I don't think anybody was holding their breath on Karsdorp. So there's that. Bremer, all set to be in for Napoli. Okay, so as expected, as intended there, missing yesterday's, but going to be back for Napoli. Awesome news. Danilo is all set for the extension. So now they're just trying to figure out the terms. 2025, 2026. I got absolutely no problems with it. I keep finding myself having to go back and just remind a lot of Juventini that this guy is anything but a problem for Juventus. And he rewards me because so many times I am wrong, all right? So many times I get things wrong. But, man, I'm right with Danilo, and I'm telling you. And there's the kip behind Lucci there. And, yeah, I have absolutely no problems with the extension of Danilo. Lucci, anything to add to some of these news headlines there?
I'm happy about Karsdorp, that's for sure. Danilo, man, he's been a rock. He's been incredible the whole year, even last year, in these the past 8 games where you've been able to keep a clean sheet. Do it. Great leader.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing, as we were talking about Sampdoria, hopefully getting the job done today and doing it. we've got some news, and there were rumblings. Michael Razzo brings up that Sampdoria was trying to organize a Vialli-inspired tournament as a tribute to him with 4 teams. Obviously, Chelsea, Juve, Samp, Cremonese. Thoughts? I think it would be cool. I think it'd be cool, some like honoring a player like that and whatnot, especially like something friendly like that they can have, just a trophy for in his honor. I think it's great. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Would be cool. Interesting too that it would be like 3 Italian teams and then just Chelsea involved. Obviously, the teams Vialli was involved with, so I think it'd be cool. Lucci, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that would be great. Maybe they can even do proceeds going to a charity or something like that. Do something good for the community.
Absolutely. Vito, when talking about Danilo, says very difficult to say something negative about him. Absolutely. And props to him. Everybody, if you keep wondering why we're getting these nail biters, why it's coming through, it's the mustache. Okay, this thing's staying until we drop a game, and it hasn't happened, and my wife's losing it. But hey, it's happening. This thing stays. The power of the stash continues. Now, Vialli, before we get to the game and everything, had a nice tribute for him. It was cool to see Pesotto being the one saying the words, lovely words for him and everything. You saw the jerseys all over the stadium, the banners and whatnot. It's cool. It's cool to see something like that and him get honored and whatnot. It's still pretty tough. For the older guys that saw him around at Juve, whatnot, hits a little harder. But even for like the younger guys and like yourself, Lucci, seeing him associated with the Azzurri during that Euros and stuff, you could really appreciate the guy. I mean, all the videos, the speech he gave, the words he chose and whatnot. And when you listen to everybody that's talked about it, even some of these Azzurri players and everything, and you remember Florenzi's interview, when asked about Gianluca Vialli and everything he's going through. This guy was such an inspiration and touched absolutely everybody he came in contact with. But it's amazing that he was such an extraordinary player, but nobody has talked about that, in his tributes and everything. Like this guy was such a great, just human and just great man that's all they can say about him, and it was interesting hearing Bonucci's words about Vialli and just how extremely intelligent he was, and like too intelligent to be a footballer, he said, and was capable of so much more. It's pretty cool. Do you have anything to add to Vialli as this Vialli tribute kind of continues?
What can you say, man? The speeches alone speak for themselves. The great things all former teammates and players said about him. The Pizzotto one was before the match. That was deep. That was a nice tribute for sure.
Nice tribute. Nice to see. Now, the task at hand: Juventus, Udinese. We had to get the job done. We'll get to lineups and what everybody was thinking. We covered that in the Match Day Live, but we'll get your thoughts when you saw the a lineup and everything. And we had Chesney in goal, Danilo, Rugani, Sandro across the back, obviously with Bremer not going to be able to be in action. Then you had McKennie as a wingback, Rabiot, Locatelli, Miretti, Kostic, Di Maria, and Keane. What was your initial reaction to seeing that lineup, Lucci?
With the match, well, you're playing every 3-4 days now. You kind of got to get some rotation in there, so it wasn't too shocking. McKennie again, I don't know. It's so hard to find his proper position where he's best suited for. He did some good things, I guess, at the wingback position, but I still don't think that's where he's supposed to be. Lot of questions about Rugani and how he would play, but I thought he was pretty good for the most part. So shocking, not really. It's kind of just keep plugging away and on to the next one.
Yeah. For me, the big question mark was going to be McKennie as that right wing back. We started to talk about it and break it down in the Match Day Live as to why Max would probably be thinking that. And, Sule, we saw what hurt him defensively as that wing back. And then the fact that you were going to lose Bremer at the back and have Rugani in there and whatnot, he probably just wanted to stabilize everything. He did end up, the way this game ended up playing out was Locatelli and Rabiot actually ended up forming a 2-man pivot, and Miretti was offered freedom to move forward. And that 2-man pivot probably helped McKennie in the long run. But it has to be said, McKennie did his job yesterday. Yeah, he didn't offer that 1v1 threat in the attack to beat his guy or whatnot. He only beat his guy once and dribbled by in the attacking phase, but he did his job defensively, and he rendered Udoji pretty much useless for Udinese, which was big because with them not being able to have Deulofeu in the lineup, it was going to come down to Pereira, Lovric, and Udoji to try and create for them, to try and get success, and Beto basically deliveries and freedom. And it's got to be said, he shut things down on the right side. He didn't offer a lot in the attacking phase, but he did his job. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think you nailed it. But that's why we saw most of our runs come from Kostic on the left. McKennie was he's never really been that player to go beat someone 1v1, so it's not surprising. Yeah, I thought he was fine. Do I want to see him there consistently? Probably not. But we'll see. Got to see who's available.
For all the flack that Max Allegri gets, it kind of made sense because you had McKennie be in the lockdown. So what he did in the midfield with the three, he had Di Maria, which creation was going to rely heavily on Di Maria. He had Keane up top, but he switched it to play two midfield pivots and get Moretti also involved, probably to help make up and account for the fact that McKennie ends up playing as one of your right backs in this makeshift. So, man, for all the flack Max takes, as of late, he's been pulling the right strings. And we'll talk about this match. But for me, these past two matches, I have no frustrations with Max. My frustrations come from other things, but we'll discuss it. We'll get to the highlight recap real quick here, everybody, and then we'll break down the match overall and get into player performances, and then we'll get to the aftermath and everybody's thoughts and feelings afterwards. Okay, so went through lineups. We kicked off the action and pretty sloppy at the start for Juve. It's got to be said. Very, very slow start to this game for Juve. Pretty slow, sloppy again. Udinese was pressing early, and Juve was struggling, just able to basically clear the ball out, not able to really, truly retain possession. So frustrations climb, and Udinese, to be honest, for all of that, the only times they really got opportunities was from our errors and errant passes and whatnot. In their own actual buildup, they actually didn't create anything. They didn't create a whole lot just from their own and their own build-up play. It was coming and stemming from our mistakes. But credit to them for playing their game plan, pressuring it, and trying to get through the outsides. That's where they want to attack. Through Udoji, Pereira was heavily involved, and Lovric as well. But 17th minute, this is probably their best opportunity the whole half, and I think it was. And it's just a back post cross from Lovric, and Wallace, I believe, was the one that heads it. Tried to say that it was beyond the line. It was never even close. Szczesny stopped it. That's probably the hardest one he had to face, other than a shot that was low and hard right before halftime. But that's really it for all the frustrations we had in our own play. Now you get to some of these other highlights. A minute after that back post header, we're about a minute and a half later. Rugani off a set piece. 6 inches more to the right, that thing's a goal, and a beauty goal as he gets way up and heads this thing right on target, forcing a big save from Silvestri. 26th minute, Keane finds some space, as that was right around the time, I'd say 22 minutes, when Juve finally started to kind of find some type of rhythm, and Moretti and Di Maria started to understand where they needed to be and find pockets of space and start to get more involved. And this was Moretti actually putting the ball forward. Keane, his defender, misread his run and went the opposite direction. He found space, hit it with his off foot, was curling towards goal, but always wide. 37th minute, man, Di Maria sends Keane straight through. Moretti to Di Maria sending Keane right through. And he gets stopped. Big time stop there from Silvestri. Keane's going to want that one back big time. We go into halftime at that. And I was doing the live watch along. There were a lot of frustrations in the first half. But I got to say, It wasn't yet again, even as many were frustrated with the Cremonese match. It was not from setup or players' positions or anything. It just came down to execution. We had opportunities, we didn't bury, and again, slow start and whatnot. Had a tough time trying to figure out how we were gonna move the ball forward and advance from our back line, but we had the better opportunities out of both teams in the first half. Um, Udinese didn't create a big chance this entire match. So formation, setup, player position, not a problem. That's 2 games in a row. The execution, just not quite cutting edge. Lucci, your thoughts at halftime of this one?
Yeah, like you said, we started a bit slow, sloppy. I didn't like that too much, but after I think they grew into the game, Di Maria got more involved, Moretti got more involved. Um, I understand some of the frustrations with Moretti, but let's keep in mind he's what 19, 20 years old. Like he needs more game time to understand and get involved and things like that. Um, yeah, like I like the kid. I think he's got a bright future. Maybe, obviously if Pogba's fit, we're not seeing him nearly as much and not relying on him as much. So let's, give him the benefit of the doubt. I thought everyone did their job in the first half, quietly did what they were supposed to do. And I'm just glad they turned it up a lot in the second half. You could tell, they turned up the intensity for sure.
I'd say the big thing that was noticeable was how against Cremonese was strange. We looked so shaky at the back, but not the case against Udinese. We looked rock solid. So massive credit to Rugani, Sandro, and Danilo because they were solid at the back. Locatelli, we're gonna get to Locatelli and whatnot. Michael Razzo saying happy birthday to Loca. Okay, aguri, but we're going to talk about that. We are going to talk about Moretti as well. Obviously, he had an opportunity. He was found back post, and this was in the second half on a fast break where he was found. Good ball going to the back on a fast break from Rabiot. Couldn't trap it, and his touch let him down and whatnot. That's an execution thing, But again, I've been saying we can't ask for these kids to get integrated and developed and whatnot and not have some patience, right? That's a frustrating one, but he's as frustrated as anybody. If you look at his face after on that one, like he knows what he needs to do. Moretti, I can't stress this enough. While we get mad at execution, upset at executed plays and whatnot, or errant passes and stuff like that, he is quietly still doing so many right things throughout games. Like when you watch him, the progression, the ball progressions that he follows is great. His movement is great. His activity is great. He's always in the mix. It's literally coming down for it just not falling for him, especially when it comes to shooting and everything and that last just final third. But I'm telling you, everybody, he just needs that monkey off his damn back.
I was just going to say that.
I'm telling you, he's just, in hockey, we call it gripping the stick too tight. That's kind of what's happening, man. I think he's in his own head, unfortunately.
I think that once he gets that first one, the confidence will rise for him to have some more goes, for sure.
Yeah. He's got nowhere to go but up, and he's so young.
Right.
I'm literally not worried about Moretti. Locatelli struggled in that first half.
He did.
Locatelli had a really, really bad first half. At the start of the second half, he started to dial it in. He did end up getting substituted though and whatnot, but that was a struggle. It's crazy because I get DMs and I got WhatsApp messages and whatnot. And here's the thing is like, I'm not worried about Locatelli. You could take the best players in the world. They've had off days. Locatelli is going to have an off day. Even the best players in the world have had off days. That was a bad performance, but I don't think it's a sign of or something we need to go out and just say, yeah, just sell Locatelli or whatever. It's an off day. For the most part, I've been happy with all of his performances, to be honest. Like, I can only think of probably that little slump just recently when apparently he had personal issues or whatnot going on, that he had to take a leave as well. And apparently had a little bit of an injury going on too, but he was chewing up massive minutes all of last season and everything. I don't see him as a problem. Your thoughts on Locatelli?
No, not at all. And I think just to add on to that, yeah, he had an off day, but if you want him to have an off day, you rather it be against Udinese than upcoming against Napoli. So hopefully, he's back into it and he turns it up for Friday. So
yeah. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Napoli and we'll talk about what we need to do, probably lineup wise or whatnot. Okay, but let's get to the second half here. So 50th minute, Keane ends up finding this ball that was ball. Moretti was trying to settle it. He actually ends up flicking it over his head. He's surrounded by Udinese players. It falls to Keane. He tries to slash at this thing, and it's like chest high. Gets stomped for his troubles. Doesn't connect quite solidly enough. It just kind of floats over the bar. 4 minutes later, Locatelli sends Kostic through on a nice through ball. Kostic is off to the races coming up the left side. I feel like he was caught between two minds and maybe wanted to feed Keane there, but ended up shooting. And by the time he decided to shoot, Silvestri had closed down the gap massively and was right in front of him. Yeah. So that one was one, again, I think he's going to want back, maybe pull the trigger quicker, go far post, because maybe Keane, there was another player there, could have probably tapped it in, right? 64th minute, nice give and go. And Paredes actually is the one involved as he came in and made a substitute. Tries to draw PK there, and I was pretty pissed because I'm like, man, chest that thing down and try and have a hit. He went down very, very easy. Never a PK, in my opinion. Not even close.
It's like he took it off the face too. If it's that high, just give it your head. Give it a go.
I don't know.
It was a weird sequence how he tried to take that down. Maybe he got a push and it landed odd. I don't know, but
it was very strange. Now,
at the moment, I was upset for sure.
We did make some subs, and as the subs were coming into the game, we had Chiesa come in, which shifted McKennie into the midfield and whatnot. But then there were a couple other changes, and then it actually reverted back, and McKennie ended up going back outside as Paredes and Fagioli entered and then took over the middle. So McKennie went back outside. Chiesa ended up slipping into a higher role with Arkadiusz Milik. And then 85th minute, here we go. Chiesa working the ball from the right, slots it over. It ends up finding Paredes. Chiesa always eyes on Paredes, starts his run, makes his run in there. Paredes with a great ball over the top. Chest down and hit back post. Danilo, Johnny on the spot. There you go. 1-0. Chalk it up. Get me the hell out of here. We take the victory. Okay. So there you go. 1-0 victory. Chiesa involved. Paredes finally contributing and having a showing something, some sign of life, to make us at least think about more minutes or whatnot. But there you go. That's nice. And Chiesa, it's got to be said, man, for me, he's night and day. Beautiful tee, by the way. Man, he's way better.
We missed him so much.
Man. Left side versus right, Chiesa, it's night and day for me, man. When he's playing inverted on the left side, he's way more dangerous. And lethal. It's just because he has no fear in cutting to the left side. But he doesn't offer that fear when he's on the right side because he's more often than not just trying to keep going to his right, which limits him to crossing. But on the right side, it's completely different because he has no problem hitting while he's running across on his strong side, but he will also fake it and go into the left side and penetrate. But for me, he's way more lethal on the left side. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. But you notice the difference night and day when he's not in the lineup, and we've missed him so much for the past year or whatever it's been. I'm just glad he's back. I'm glad hopefully he can continue to get more minutes. listen, I don't want him playing left wing back, and I know we've discussed this before ourselves, but if that's the only way he's getting into the lineup, you have to play him. You
Yeah,
can't leave him on the bench. There's absolutely no way. Best
absolutely.
player on the team for sure.
Yeah. All right, I'll ask him, where did you get that tee? That's one of the Striped Hearts, bad boys, Striped Hearts apparel. We've got our own merch, of course, linked with the YouTube channel. There's a different Chiesa design available right now. And today is the last day, I believe, to get 23% off everything in the store. So, hey, check it out. Check it out. Now, Animesh saying Chiesa has that X factor only special players have. So good to have him back. Absolutely. Chiesa's always going to be more dangerous on the left. Said it many, many times. Chiesa's simply the best. So happy to watch him again. He is, he's a game breaker.
Yeah.
He is a game breaker, and he's absolutely massive for Juve, and he's our best player. He is
Absolutely.
our best player. He is so direct, more direct than anybody we have. And he's an absolute killer. Again, when it comes to just our lineup, shape, everything like that, I'm not going to pull the trigger on wanting to change anything right now.
Yeah.
When Dusan Vlahovic is back, any criticisms of his play and that I have or anything, again, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt because I want to see him now that we've kind of stabilized a bunch of other issues, right? Chiesa coming back and then putting Vlahovic up top, we got to see that. We got to see that, right? So it's going to be interesting. But hey, Chiesa doing what we need him to do already in some few minutes, already bagging a couple of assists and whatnot. He's going to have an impact, and it's only going to get better. It's only going to get better, all right? Now, before we get into all the aftermath topics and everything like that, let's quickly go through man of the match. So everybody in the live chat, drop who you believe was your man of the match. And I want to hear Lucci's man of the match right now. Quick reminder, everybody that's here with us, like the video, please. It all helps. And like the video, subscribe if you're new here. But let's kick things off on man of the match. Lucci.
Oh, it's between these two behind me for sure. But I'd probably have to give it to Chiesa just because the way he took that ball off his chest, didn't even hit the ground, outside of the boot, right to Danilo, put it on a platter. And you can notice the difference he came on, just the quality, the explosiveness.
Yeah.
For me, it's got to be Chiesa. Great player.
Yeah. So Di Maria ended up getting substituted. Again, a bunch of our players started off this game very slow. So did Di Maria, and he made some pretty bad decisions, but he grew in it and he became crucial for our creation. So at one point, I actually had Di Maria up there, but then Danilo was throughout. I had Danilo there, and yes, you could give it to Chiesa. The second he moved to that left side in that advanced role it was the X factor. It was a massive, massive shift for Juve. You get a lot of shouts here. Chiesa, Danilo, and Rabiot. Rabiot getting some shouts, and to be honest, he's been crazy consistent this year. Earlier on in our live chat, there was a bunch of praise for Rabiot again. Jeremiah Rabiot is very solid again, very consistent. Animesh saying the consistency Rabiot has shown compared to other mids is something else. Yeah. He's up there for sure. We got another one for Danilo. JJ coming in here for Danilo. Chiesa changed the game. He's man of the match. Man of the match for Jeremiah is Di Maria because he created so much for us. Hey, all good shouts. All good shouts. For me, I give it to Danilo. He was rock solid again. Credit to Rugani too, who is again all last season. For all the shit we give him, for all this time there, he's a different player because now you can actually, there's trust there. Like, you still get a little bit nervous about it because of the history, but from last year on, he hasn't been an issue. And you really got to think about it because he doesn't care that he doesn't get big minutes either. So he's not really an issue. He's always fit and available because he doesn't play a lot. And when he comes in, he's been reliable for all of last year that we did call upon him. And now, so it's something to be said there. But Danilo's massive. So like we said, one of the news points coming out today is that Juve's looking at extending Danilo. We both talked about this. No issues with them extending Danilo whatsoever. Now, Moise Kean, I saw some comments in here in the live chat about we need to sell him immediately, and he was shocking. Look, if I look at this game, yeah, he had a couple he's probably going to want back, make different decisions or whatnot. However, his movement was top notch yesterday. We couldn't find him a few times and whatnot, but man, his movement was really, really good. We are obliged, okay? So we're obligated to purchase him in June. Now, if Juve can find a deal, they might move him, but I don't think it's the be-all, end-all if he has to stick around either, to be honest. What are your thoughts on Kean, Lucci?
You know what? If you asked me this a few months ago, I'm saying, yeah, he's got to go for sure. But he's really turned it around. He scored some crucial goals. I didn't think he played bad yesterday or the past previous games as well. I think you got to keep him, to be honest. I don't see them splashing 30, 40 million to, like selling him and then splashing another 30 to go buy another forward. At this point, it doesn't make sense. You might as well just keep him. He can play on the wing, maybe not the best option to play on the wing, but at least he's, a little bit of versatility, which goes a long way. Hopefully Vlahovic ends up staying. Those are your duo. And then if they decide to keep Malik as well, then you got, 3 capable attackers, because, someone's going to get hurt at some point. You need to have options. It's just the way it goes. So I'm fine with him staying, to be honest.
Yeah. And here's the thing is we don't want to give ourselves too much work to do in the Mercado, right? So whether we can balk about the price tag of being 28 million and him not worth it, who are you going out and getting at striker at 28 mil? Like, who are you getting? Sure, Thuram, I believe, he's a free transfer. But we know how the free transfers work, and then the wages are going to be probably higher than you'd want to fork out, and agent fees and whatnot on those free transfers. I like Marcus Thuram, and I would like him join, but we have to be realistic in the finance department and the fact that we don't want to do too much work. We don't want to give ourselves too much, and
we still have a lot to do.
I don't really know. Milik is going to be purchased. I think that's a no-brainer too. So all of a sudden, you got these guys, Milik, Vlahovic, and Kean. That's not a problem. That's not an issue. You're going to have to sort out Di Maria's replacement. Di Maria's been injured for a bunch for us and whatnot. So really for us, it's going to come down to bodies and who we bring in that can actually play roles, that can stay fit and whatnot. Okay. As far as like the finishing, it all comes down. Good movement doesn't count. It's the finishing and whatnot. Well, look, all our guys struggle to really finish a lot of chances. I can say the same thing about Vlahovic, who we spent 70 mil on.
Yeah.
I can see, I've talked about this a lot. If a guy's at that price tag, I expect him to finish a lot of the opportunities he has. And again, for whatever reason, like these guys, it's not there, but still, it's a hot streak. And Moise Kean, player of the month for the month of November in Serie A, getting his award yesterday. I don't think it's as bad as we make it out to be. Is it a problem that we need to address? I don't necessarily think so. If we're going to have him being the backup to Vlahovic, which is essentially what we're looking at. That's a pretty damn decent backup considering how he's played. And to have Milik there as well, that you're only purchasing for 8 mil, I don't see a problem in that department. I think we need to look elsewhere at strengthening Juve. If I'm being honest, especially with the obligation there.
I think just to add on to that, we have a lot of other areas that need some attention. That full back for sure. You probably want at least another one or two center backs, like a
Big
winger,
time.
especially if Di Maria and Paredes both leave at the end of the season. Like, you're gonna have holes, and why would you create another one if you don't need to? So just keep building. I think someone said that you need, Michael, we need a deep squad for next year. Yeah, absolutely.
Deep squad. Michael Lloyd saying we need a deep squad, and it's better to keep them. Like depth, and again, numbers, stats. We can get to that as well and whatnot. We'll look at it. The other thing that I remind everybody, it's really hard for us to sit here and look overall and think overall about acquisitions you want to make in the summer and who you want to bring in and whatnot, when we don't necessarily know if we're going to carry on for a 3-5-2 beyond this season.
Right.
We don't even necessarily know that. You know, we came across this through injuries. We came across this on injuries and stumbled into this, and it's been working. Okay, it's been working very, very well for Juventus. I don't see this setup changing from here on out, especially with the signs with these injuries and having Quadrado out and nobody really truly as a fullback to back him up other than Barbieri, and us not doing that. There ain't nothing that's going to change the 3-5-2 now. I think we can agree.
Yeah. I agree.
If he hasn't done it now with all the injuries and not being able to play a true right wing back, it ain't going to change when everybody's fit. I think this 3-5-2 is around from here on out for the season. And you know what? Absolutely fine with it. I have no issues whatsoever. If we're going to look at Moise Kean and he can't finish and everything like that, well, he's got 4 goals to his name in 600 minutes. We're all praising Milik, Arkadiusz Milik. Milik has 5 in 822 minutes. Okay? So you're praising one guy and you're not praising another. And Keane's had some big goals for us this season too. So for me, it doesn't quite make sense. Yes, Keane struggled early on in the season. He was awful. But hey, some of those problems that were evident at the start of the season, mainly his touch and his holdup, have kind of been corrected. And statistically, man, he's right in there. He's right in there. You look at Vlahovic, 853 minutes, he had 6 goals.
How many of those were free kicks? 2, 3?
He had 2 free kick goals.
Yeah.
So, man, and again, I'm sorry, Keane missed many big chances. Vlahovic has as well. And he's a 70 mil guy. I don't see Keane an issue right now at this point in time for Juventus at 28 mil. That's just me. But hey, let's keep her moving. Max Allegri getting his award for Coach of the Month in Serie A in November. Now, this one, because everybody's still up in arms whenever this team struggles. Yesterday and the Cremonese game, I heard it all about Max Allegri and all this, and I don't care what happens. I don't care. I've seen the messages that are on my WhatsApp. I don't care how many trophies we win, Alberto. This guy has to go. Nothing's going to change. Do you feel that way, Lucci? Can he change your mind? Like, let's say we take Europa. Let's say we make a run and maybe take the Scudetto down. Surely he can't go if we tackle the Scudetto in this season.
Man, all that matters is winning. If you're bringing home trophies, that's the goal at the beginning of the season, is to go and win something. So if you're winning, does it matter how you're getting it done? But you're getting it done. Listen, if you asked me this question 4 months ago, I'm all for it. Like, he's got to go 100%. But the results speak for themselves. As ugly as they may be, it's hard to argue against results, man. That's what it's a performance-based, job. And we're, as critics or fans, we just want to win. And for me, that's all I'm about.
And Omer is saying, ask Pirlo. Oh, that's
fair point.
Fair point. Now, here's the thing with me when it comes to Max. I've always said this, and I'm going to stay consistent. I don't give a shit who our coach is. I could, like, you know what? If it's a legend, if it's somebody that's tied to you, that's great. But honestly, what it comes down to is playing solid ball and getting the job done.
Yeah.
So Max at one point, and I kind of tie this into everything around Juventus too. Like even when we look at some of our players, like Rabiot, for instance, when we want to talk about Lou, please, you can mute maybe about 5 minutes here. Okay, we are going to talk about Rabiot and just tie him into this. It's like even talking about his extension, they bring up the years prior. And it's almost like we completely ignore the fact that he was being used as an outside midfield, which he is not. You know, this season, whether it's World Cup, whether it's whatever, he has been one of our most consistent players. So for those that say we shouldn't even think about a renewal because of 3 years prior, well, you know, you can't look to the past if you're going to move forward. Right now is all that counts. Right now is all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
So to discuss potentially renewing Rabiot is completely fair based on what he's showing this season. The salary and all that, it gets into it. But my point with Max Allegri and tying this to Max Allegri is, yes, he was at a point at one point this season where you could have fired him and it would have been completely justified.
Mm-hmm.
However, the form and the shape that we are in now, you can't deny it or argue it. And if this continues and we are strong throughout until the end of the season, if these young guys, which still look like they're getting reps and they're getting their minutes and getting worked in, if this continues, hey, what's the problem in keeping them? Because it's results based. Sexy or not, hey, the points right now look pretty good on that table, don't they?
Mm-hmm. It's hard to argue that, man.
I'm saying.
It's hard to fire someone if you're performing well and the team you have is pulling results. You can't argue against that.
You know, it's one of those things. It just, again, how much more work do you want to create for yourselves?
Yeah.
You know, how much work do we want to create for ourselves? At some point, you do have to gain stability one way or another. So it's we have to see and wait until the dust settles at the end of the season and how we continue on. But the turnaround that's taken place, the identity now that Juve has created, which is solid at the back, being able to grind out ugly wins, which good teams find ways to win. It's hey, it's something you can't ignore. We can't ignore it. Okay, so the Allegri talk all has to kind of be put aside until we see where the dust settles come season end. But right now, he's got the team getting the job done. Now, his numbers statistically since he returned were awful. But he got a big win earlier this season. We've had a massive turnaround. He's going to have another opportunity at a big time match come Friday, the 13th against Napoli.
Yep.
And hey, that could change the scope of the entire second half of the season. That Friday, the 13th match, it's going to be massive. If you haven't booked time off work, everybody, for that Friday, you could check out our Twitter page and we have a list of great excuses for your employers, okay, to get out of work. But I'm going to be running a watch along. It's going to be fantastic. I'm pumped for that one. But Max Allegri talks, we put on hold. Agreed, Lucci?
Agreed.
Put him on
And we
hold.
don't agree
put him on
often.
hold.
So
What's that?
we don't agree often. So people listen to us.
Well,
you know?
hey, everybody knows how frustrated I was in Max Allegri earlier on this season. Lucci, you've been vocal about it. Hey, what's fair is fair. This turnaround, nobody saw coming.
No.
He got us there, and there's been a ton of injuries, whatever. He's pulling the right strings right now, and it's working for us. Maybe, and hey, him losing it yesterday on the sideline, amazing, absolutely amazing. I do love it when he goes Mad Max. I absolutely do love it. So maybe now with the tweaks that he's doing, starting to make subs, starting to shift where guys play, and it's been working. It's worked a couple times. And he flipped out, lost his wig there. Hey, maybe he's back. Maybe he's back. All right. So see what happens. Now, let's get to some more of it. Chiesa. We talked about Chiesa on the left side.
Mm-hmm.
We're with a slight look ahead to Napoli. Is Kostic maybe in trouble of minutes? Like, do we need to look at Chiesa playing on the left side? Does that hurt Kostic? Should we just look at Chiesa as that second forward? Kostic surely can't go anywhere on his playing spot, but what do you do with these two forwards? Do you sit Di Maria? Get Chiesa up top in that second forward role?
This is the problem because I don't see him as a wing back, obviously, and I don't see him as a secondary striker. He's a clear winger. But the problem is we're not going to be playing with wingers at this moment, for this season anyway. I think first of all, I don't know if Chiesa is going to be starting on Friday. I think he's going to come off the bench. I don't know if he's ready to play a full 70, 80, 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have him later on than at the beginning of the game, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to how you look at games, what your personal preference is. Do you want to get out of the gate? Do you think we might be chasing something after by the time he comes on? Or do you think we can get after and hurt them and try and protect something maybe later on and then give him the rest? And still bringing on Di Maria is huge.
Right.
Like, if you that's a good problem to have. You're pulling one of these guys off the bench. Milik's probably going to get the start, which is why probably Keane got the start yesterday against Udinese. So I would expect Milik to be up top.
Milik, Di Maria, I would assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do
you start Chiesa on the right, and then eventually, if Kostic comes out, you move him to the left? That's an option too.
What's that?
You start him as the right fullback because it's going to be either McKennie or Sule, I would assume at this point. You go
start Chiesa as right wing back?
Yeah. You start him there, and then eventually Kostic comes out, you move him over to the left. That's an option. I see the 3-4-3. I don't see that happening just because that leaves us a little light in the midfield. And we saw with Canada, that doesn't go well.
I think you're gonna get pretty close to the same as we saw.
Yes.
Two-man pivot midfield. I think you probably expect, with no changes to personnel, McKennie as your right wing back again. And Rabiot probably next to him to support as two-man pivot, Locatelli on the opposite side. Does Paredes get the start over Locatelli against Napoli? Do you make that change? There was a lot of frustrations with Locatelli yesterday.
No. The only change I would consider would be Fagioli over Moretti, though.
Yes. I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. However, Moretti plays usually higher up. So he gets that advancing role. If you give that to Fagioli, I don't think we've seen enough of Fagioli to be in that advanced role and whatnot. So I haven't really seen him make those runs and get deep into the area to see. We've seen that goal he scored earlier where he won the game for us. At the top of the area there, right at the top corner when he turned and he got that alla Del Piero. I'm not against it. I'm not against it whatsoever, but maybe Fagioli's execution, it's got to be said, is a bit slightly higher than Moretti's right now.
And I think Fagioli being there will take a bit of the pressure off Locatelli, just because the way Fagioli sees the pitch is probably a little more box to box compared to Moretti.
His vision's great.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that could help Locatelli. Maybe Locatelli can get more involved and Fagioli drops, they can interchange kind of between.
The passing range is massive in comparison when you're looking at Moretti to Fagioli. Fagioli can spray that thing all around the place, right? So lovely switch fields and everything. So yeah, I mean, let's do it. I'm fine with that. So I agree, Fagioli to start. I think we're going to get the same unless any changes happen on the injury front. I probably expect McKinney out there on the right again, to be honest, and Danilo on that right side backing him. And
but does that mean Sandro starts again?
I'd expect the 3 Brazilians as your center backs against Napoli.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would expect Bremer be right back in the fold in the center, right in the heart. Sandro, Danilo on your right side, Kostic again on your left side. I think Chiesa is going to come into the match second half.
Yeah, I could see 50-55. If depending how things are going, give him at least 35-40 minutes.
Yeah. Dell saying, stop Stanislav Lobotka and you stop Napoli. Just need to man mark him out of the game. I cannot wait for this game. Okay. I cannot wait for this game. It's massive. If Juve gets the job done, okay. Oh my God, do I have receipts? Okay. I got receipts. And then I might even still hold them until season's end. Okay. I told everybody, I said, Juve's going to make some serious noise. I went on my friend Rino Zarini's Facebook Live and whatnot, and they asked me, they said, what are your expectations for Juventus come see? Like, who's winning the Scudetto? They didn't even ask me about you. Just, who's winning Scudetto? I said, Juve. And they're like, no. And I was like, oh, yeah. Okay, I believe in it. And maybe it's because... Not because I'm obviously biased, but I'm telling you why. Okay. I'm telling you why. Spalletti effects, number 1. Number 2, it's night and day when you're chasing the leaders and when you're the leaders trying to hold it. Whole different ball game. Okay. And Juve's got nothing to lose here. From where we came to where we're at now, everybody dancing on our graves, all this nonsense. I've never wanted a Scudetto more. Me and Omer keep saying this season. This would top the Cinque Maggio. I'm telling you. This would top Cinque Maggio if Juve somehow, some way pull it done. And I tell you, would that ever be a celebration party right here live on YouTube if we pulled that one off? Okay, so let's wait and see. Storm the Barn. Let's get into some Storm the Barn questions. Now's your time to get it in, everybody. I'm going to remind you, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We got to that one about potentially going 3-4-3. Don't really see that, although you could argue that in some capacity, it's kind of happening more as a 3-4-1-2 in how we play one of our 3 midfielders, because yesterday Moretti was so advanced, right? And how we can use our forwards, Di Maria, Moretti were kind of both creators ahead of our midfielders, and then Keane was playing right at the top, right? So get your Storm the Barn questions in. I'm going to open up everybody. If you want to join for a quick call in, okay? You don't actually call, okay? Don't actually call, but you can add me on WhatsApp and just send me a message if you want to come in. We could bring some callers in and maybe take a couple calls today, okay? But Storm the Barn. One other thing, so positionally, formation-wise, we don't want to change anything. I don't think anything's going to change. There's no need to. Allegri is an interesting topic that's going to be here on out till end of the season. Keane was an interesting one. It seems like we're kind of in the minority on that one, Lucci, when it comes to him not being a problem. But, hey, that's okay. We love the difference in opinions over here. So we got one from a niche here. Will we see 3-4-1-2 with Chiesa, Milik, Vlahovic, Di Maria, and Kostic? And should it be possible stop Milan? Okay, so to get all these guys in.
Ooh,
I
don't
don't
think
see
so.
that. I don't see us getting all those guys in.
No. And we don't
Somebody's
even know
gonna
when
have
Vlahovic will be
to.
back.
Yeah, yeah. There's no way you can pull that off. And there is a way you could pull it off, but I
If you're
don't think
playing
we
off,
would want to do that. And I can probably guarantee Max doesn't want to do it because it would be way too top heavy.
that would, even at a 4-2-3-1, that would be,
Like, you got Vlahovic and Milik there as your two strikers. You put Di Maria in behind them. He's one of your third midfielders, and then Chiesa as your right
that's, I
outside.
don't see Max taking that
You
big of a
can do
risk.
that, but it's
Maybe if you're down late and you need a goal, then maybe you
yeah,
see them all together.
that seems like an empty the clip type scenario.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely just top heavy.
Very.
It could be done. I don't see Max doing it if we're chasing something, like Harrell says here. If we're chasing games.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would agree with that. Another storm the barn coming in here from YFG. Vlahovic is our starting striker, but does he just walk in and get his spot back when he's fit? Keane and Milik have been doing well. Just asking though. So yes, I love how he puts that so he doesn't get chewed out or live chat go wild. I totally get what you're saying. So I've given Vlahovic the benefit of the doubt. I think he has to get that shot now that we've stabilized everything. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he, even when he does return, I see him being integrated slowly and seeing how he can react to that. If he plays well, I don't see him coming in right into the starting 11 right as soon as he's back healthy.
Yeah,
you got to go with the hot hand. Milik and Keane have been available. They've been scoring. Maybe not as much as we'd like, but they've been able to score. And Vlahovic was, not that he was terrible before he got hurt, but he was inconsistent, like a large majority of the players were, to be fair. But I don't know. I don't think you throw him right back into the fire, just like we've seen with Chiesa, slowly seeing more and more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what he's dealing with is kind of something that we have to really be leery about because of the fact that it could, develop into a hernia. So that's the last thing we want.
Right.
So we got to be very, very careful. He probably will be edged in, but I'm telling you, all the criticism and whatnot, I do want to see him now that we're generating more and more consistently. I really, really want to see Vlahovic there, and I hope he hits the ground running when he finally does get back to action. There's a lot of rumblings around him and his future at Juventus and everything, but let's remain calm. Just wait until some of the top dogs kind of talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's wait and see. Wait and see. Jeremiah, both Fagioli and Rabiot are key in this Juve squad. Fagioli brings calmness and composure. Rabiot brings compactness and urgency, in my opinion. Great structure for Juve. Yeah, Fagioli for me, he's just that variant because of his vision and everything. And we've talked about this for a while at Juventus, and I was screaming it for so long. I don't know how long. When you were playing midfields that consisted of Rabiot and McKennie both being on the pitch, Zakaria and Rabiot both being on the pitch, that is way too lopsided in the physical department.
Yep.
And you don't have that variant. You don't have that creator. You don't have that vision. Miretti made a big change. Fagioli made a massive change. You have to make sense of your team and the roles that they're occupying.
Mm-hmm.
Now, while this goes back to what I've been saying over the past 2 days or 2 games about not having any frustrations with Max because the roles and what he's doing and how he's using the guys seem to make sense. What do you think, Lucci?
I think, like we mentioned this before about against Napoli, I would like to see these two paired with Locatelli. And you can just, like I said, I've said this many times, when you're comparing McKennie and Zakaria to Fagioli and Miretti, the difference in talent and skill is night and day, even though they're young and they have lots to learn and grow and things like that. But you can just tell like how higher their skill level is when they're on the pitch, when they're on the ball, their creativity, the vision. You needed this this type of, you needed this piece. Like you said, the midfield was very lopsided in size and physicality, but not much talent and not much creativity going forward. And it's been clear ever since the youngsters have come in. So keep going, let's see more.
Yeah. I agree. Real quick here, Alex Juve, Viali, the Viali shirts, crew necks, everything, they're available on our YouTube merch store. So you can go there. Last day for 23% off. Okay. So if anybody's looking to support the channel or whatever and get yourself some cool gear, last shot at the 23% promo. Okay. So great stuff for the Storm the Barns too. Great stuff. YFG saying, what's the percentage of us winning the Europa, Copa, and the league? So percentages. We want to draw percentages. So
let me pull up my calculator.
Let's break this thing down. Let's break this thing down to Copa. So the first Copa match is going to be January 19th against Monza. Oh, that dreaded beast that is Monza that beat us earlier in the season. Getting a draw. That Coppa Italia, I've felt the same about it for all season, even with the struggles, whatnot. Like, I mean, I expect this team to make the final of the Copa.
Yeah.
And then it could be, your coin flip game that anything can happen, right? But I expect final there. Europa, let's kind of dive into this a bit. You expecting a deep run in Europa from Juve?
I mean,
and here's the big question mark tying to the 3-5-2, Lucci, is that everybody says 3-5-2 is great for Italy, but it never translates into Europe. For us in the Champions League, we have to remember we didn't go in with that setup.
Right.
So all this stability that we found, and this is why one of the things I shut down trying to change this now is because I remember our 4-3-3, and then when we went to 4-4-2, we had no balance. We couldn't create. We couldn't shut teams down. Like, it was bad. So to be fair, for those saying, well, let's look at what Max did in Champions League, whatever. Well, it was a whole different ball game because, like I said, we found the formula. It's just too late. But what are you expecting out of Europa?
I don't see a trophy victory in Europa, but I expect a deep run. I don't know. I just don't know how focused they're going to be in Europa. How much do they really care about Europa League? That's what I'm worried about. I think Max and probably the players are more focused on Serie A and Copa, to be completely honest.
I love the calculation here from Animesh. He goes 15.47% chance of winning all three according to his calculations.
All right.
I love it. Alex P saying he thinks Copa might be more difficult than Europa to win. If I'm looking at, I think it's actually, they might have originally thought your wave of thinking.
Okay.
In terms of the Europa. But I think if you take a step back, and I would have to believe that the team took a step back and realized that, hey, it's still a European competition. There's still money involved. And winning this goes a long way, especially for the young guys on our team, especially what we came from. And this ties massively into establishing stability, establishing an identity, and carrying it forward and whatnot. So I think it may have been a huge bummer, obviously, what happened before, but now is turning into something that they are going to take seriously and they are going to get after. So I actually do expect Juve to get after it in Europa and whatnot. How percentage of winning all three of these? 20% maybe to take all three. 20%, somewhere in that range, I'd probably have to say.
Yeah.
If you would have to take a stab out of one of those and say you're most confident in, I think I'm most confident in the league.
Ooh.
I'm more confident in the league for a lot of factors, but I think our main focus is going to be the league.
I would agree.
I think that's going to be our main focus. And the results are coming in Europa. Hey, if we can make that great run and everything and go on it, that's great. Copa, you've got knockouts and stuff. Anything can happen and whatnot. But the league, I think, is where we're going to find ourselves most committed. I think.
The one thing I like about Europa League, and I'm not, not to bring it down a notch or anything, but I like it that you'll get, hopefully Sule and Iling Jr. a few starts in there, get them some more minutes. Because now with, like we said, the league's important. We don't know, who knows about Pogba if he's coming back this year, next year, or never. But you get some of these young guys some more minutes, and I think that will go a long way for them, especially if they continue to win and they're putting in good performances. Right? They're playing in Europe. They're doing well.
You bet. So we've got Jeremiah on deck for the call in. Okay. But first we got a couple more Storm the Barns, and then Jeremiah will get the call in here. Okay. So let's get to Aldo's here. How well does Paredes need to play for the rest of the season to convince Juve that he is worth his transfer and wage? I don't think he can play to that level, to be honest. It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot if we're being serious. Like, do I think it's going to get to a point where we do keep him? I'm kind of with Aldo here. I don't think it's going to reach that level of retention, to be honest. I don't see it. What do you think, Lucci?
I think regardless of how well he plays, I wouldn't keep him regardless of what he's able to do within now and the end of the season. You got some youngsters, Rovella could easily have stayed with this team and played, and we're looking to save money. That's prime, reason number one why you make that switch.
Yeah. So. And Dell's going back to our last discussion about the Europa. What a winning breeds winning, and no competition should be sniffed at. Love it.
True.
Absolutely love it. So, yeah, I think we're both in agreement with Aldo. I don't think it's going to reach that point. I would love to be wrong, because that means every appearance he makes for us here on out is strong. So I hope that is the case. But I think retention it's a long way out. We can't forget about apparently some rifts and attitude issues that were going on behind the scene. Like Juve was contemplating trying to get him back away sooner. Like, that was discussed. That was rumors from plenty. Usually where there's that much smoke, there's fire. But we see. Michael Lloyd, Rugani was solid yesterday. How about going back 4-3-3 again if Freddie is healthy? Man, we still keeping in ties with this formation change. I can't go away from what's better for the whole group for any one individual, Freddie included. I just can't do it. Luch?
Not right now. Not with our available fullbacks. I don't think you can go back to a back four. I don't trust Sandro there. I don't trust Danilo. Barbieri looks good, but again, you can't throw him right into a fire against Napoli.
And that is such a key point, is the fact that Sandro is good in a 3 center back. Like, it works. You put him on that outside again, he's going to get roasted. It doesn't work. He can't do it. But as a 3rd center back with Kostic here on the left, that works.
He's got coverage there. He's got
4-3-3.
support.
And even Cuadrado, 4-man back there, the way he's been playing this year, no way. Keep it 3. The 3 center backs is one of the keys right now.
I'm so excited
for Juve. So I just I don't look at getting out of that one. But hey, there still are a lot of shouts for 4-3-3. There's some people that just swear by that formation. They love it and they want to see it, mainly because of our attack and whatnot. But hey, go back and watch some of those 4-3-3 games earlier this year. I think we had 6 attempts in on average in most games in the 4-3-3. 4-4-2, slightly better, but the balance right now is key, man.
Yep.
Balance right now is key.
Especially for what you got available.
Yeah, exactly. So let's ring up Jeremiah, see what he's got to say here. Let's see what he's got to say.
Hey, Happy New Year, fellas.
Hey, Happy New Year.
Jeremiah.
What's going on, man? I apologize. We never made it work yesterday on the lives.
No worries. It was a great watch along, and thank God we got the 3 points. So
Don't thank God, man. Thank the stash.
yeah. But my concern is I have two things. Okay, first, of course, you were speaking about Europa League and Copa and Scudetto. I think we should be going for the Scudetto, number one, and I believe that we can win the Europa League, and I think that sends a big statement because we have not won in Europe for a long time, right? Like 26 years.
Yeah.
27 years. So I think we should go all the way. I would sacrifice the Coppa Italia. I mean, for me, it's not a big trophy to win. But my concern is, happy that we are winning, on this streak. But the design of this team, I'm concerned what if we concede a goal? What if we concede a goal first, right? Al, how would the team react?
Yeah.
That's true.
That is my concern, because if we were performing well, then I will definitely have the confidence that we will react in any situation. But we're not performing really well. We're grinding it out. At this moment in time, we're grinding out results. Very late winners. So my real concern is I think Max has designed this team not to concede first.
Yeah.
That it's so clear to see.
Yeah. I guess I'd have to say, in terms of that, it's a good thing we haven't had to see that or test it, that we haven't fallen behind. But I get the concern in the fact that, how do we react? How do we get after? But the thing, again, that I go back to, that keeps going back, is that we are creating much more than we were previously on in the season, right? It's not falling for us now, but I mean, in terms of creation, I think what would change if we fall behind is the pressure would ramp up and we would press a lot harder, and we would risk more to get after and actually find one. I think another thing is it's no doubt he's one of our absolute best and he's a game breaker, but when Chiesa starts getting entered into these things earlier on, we're going to get goals earlier on in the game too. That's just going to come naturally, right? But I understand that concern, but I still go back to the fact that we're creating good chances. Yesterday, we created by far the better opportunities. We had three or four big chances created. Udinese didn't have one big chance created. So,
which is why it was very frustrating to watch, that because we couldn't finish.
Right.
I guess it was rustiness. I guess, second game of the new year after the World Cup. But
fair.
I don't think this is a coincidence. I think this the midfield. When you tinker a lot with the midfield, and I know now we got games coming in thick and fast, and Max has to rotate, and but the midfield, I think there's something missing in the midfield. We're not really building well from the back. We're not keeping possession really well. We are creating chances. I think mostly on the counter.
Yeah.
But I think that's how Max wants them to play.
So I believe the key is the midfield. If Luca is having a bad day, one bad game, fine. But I think he needs to stamp a little bit more. He needs to boss it around. He needs to stamp his authority a little bit more. And I believe Fagioli is the key. I mean, this guy, even yesterday, I mean, of course, he came on very late, but as soon as he came on, you can see there's some calmness in midfield, and we scored. So I feel Fagioli is the key guy in midfield there. And the moment he doesn't play, it's a bit messy.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you agree?
Well, I think we're going to take this on here, Jeremiah, myself, and Lucci, and we'll expand on it and see what everybody in the live chat goes, because there's a couple key points in there that I want to discuss. One of them for sure being our play and our build-up from the back, and, pinpointing where the struggles. I think we have to remember that yesterday we played with a 2-man pivot as opposed to the 3 straight across in the middle. And when we tried to play out from the back yesterday, it kind of changed things, and it kind of changed some of their points. So you could see Rabiot kind of struggled with it for a bit in terms of helping the play at the back. He put Sandro under multiple times. Locatelli just had a very, very bad first half of football there yesterday. And Moretti, too, was having a struggle balancing when to push forward and whatnot.
Moretti, the thing I see with Moretti is I think his weakness is he hesitates. That's the only thing. He hesitates. He's always in two minds, you get what I mean?
Yeah.
He's always even the big chance yesterday.
But
he was so clear to see he doesn't know whether he wants to shoot straight, a volley, or maybe stop the ball. So he was in two minds.
Yeah.
And that hesitation is the one that is not getting him to produce the end results. But what do you think? My last question, Al, and for both you and Lucci, what do you think about playing Paredes and Luca together? It is not. I don't think so. We have seen it.
Yeah.
Probably we've seen it once.
Yeah. I tell you what, Jeremiah, Lucci and I are going to tackle this. We'll open up to the chat. That's a very good one, and we'll probably wrap things up on this one. I want to thank you for coming on again, man. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you, bro.
You bet.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Okay. Ciao. So that's some good stuff there from Jeremiah. Let's start with his discussions about Moretti and being hesitant and whatnot. I still, like I said, I chalk things up to we're not accustomed to doing what we did yesterday in the midfield in this 3-5-2, and especially with the players. So Moretti's been the second guy through this run back in November. Remember, everybody, we had a massive World Cup break in the middle of this. We found form with three midfielders, Locatelli, Rabiot, and Fagioli. Moretti was playing as a fourth midfielder advanced.
Right.
Yesterday, he was one of the three midfielders, but he played advanced to two pivots. That alone takes adjustments.
Yep. And
we're trying to do it seemingly on the fly with a little bit of training due to injuries and everything. So, again, we struggled. It took about 22 minutes for us to start controlling the play much better against Udinese. But I think when it comes to Moretti, I'm not really overly concerned. Lucci, how do you feel about the whole Moretti hesitancy thing? And do you agree with Jeremiah that Fagioli is the key?
So to touch on the first part, I see a bit of hesitation in Moretti. That's fair. But I think that comes with more experience and more game time. And he's like, even though we're still pulling results, this is all learning for him and Fagioli. And I think it'll go a long way when we see them next year and the next 10 years. But Fagioli, I got to be honest, really surprised me. I wasn't sure if he was ready to make the step, but he's really stepped in and he stepped up. Do I think he's the key or, to unlock this midfield? Maybe, but I don't know. I don't know. I want to see him again. I want to see him get involved more attacking. Yes, he scored a couple goals, but can he play a more supporting role when it comes to the attack? I think Moretti is more suited for that. And again, it's going to depend if Max wants to play again the 3-5-2 or more of a 3-4-1-2. We'll see how it goes, but if you want to keep the five, the mid, the middle five, then I think you got to play Fagioli in there instead of Moretti.
Yeah, I think Fagioli is key in the sense that he gives us something different from all the other guys and helps us achieve that balance.
I think it's just he's more stable.
Yeah,
if you want to say it that way.
But even if we want to get into vision and launching the ball and whatnot, if you look at a game like yesterday and Aldo Bonasso hit it right on the head, we are quick to crucify players. But if you looked at this game yesterday, Locatelli had no, he couldn't even think about breathing. He was so freaking wrapped up by Udinese. Having a guy like Fagioli there changes that, because when Fagioli's next to him, you can find they have two guys to try and worry about that can distribute and turn things for Juve. So we didn't really have that in the sense that Moretti was pretty much higher, and he's not that vision guy like Fagioli or that stabilizer. And then Rabiot is not that guy either, the physical force. So that kind of played into it too. I'm overall not worried with Moretti one single bit. Fagioli does give us something different than all the rest. He is a key. They're all reaching balance together. Okay. So I think, again, just take things in stride, take one things. I don't think we need to go too high or too low on any of the guys right now. It's working. The rhythm will come and we'll keep going. We had a big break in the middle of hitting a red hot streak.
Yeah.
Okay. So just get back into it. Napoli Friday going to be massive. His last question about playing Locatelli and Paredes together, Lucci, I'll let you go first on this one, and then I'll wrap it up, and then we'll probably start to wind down. So no
chance.
No chance.
We've how many? I can count on maybe one hand how many good things we've seen Paredes do since joining at the beginning of the year. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he's a terrible player. I think he does have a lot of room to improve at Juve or Serie A itself, but he's not getting a start for me, because then you're taking out either one of Moretti or Fagioli, because Rabiot's a guaranteed starter. Same with Locatelli. So you want to bring him on later in the game to maybe give you something a little different, fine.
Yeah.
But when it comes defensively and, getting hit on the counter, I'm definitely a lot more nervous when I see Paredes out there compared to Locatelli. So am I going to see them together? I hope not.
Yeah. Look, I don't know. We talked about this too. Locatelli struggling yesterday. Do you play Paredes and start him instead for Napoli? I say no. Lucci says no. You still rock with Luca. Yeah. As far as playing the two of them together, I see lazy tracking back from Paredes more often than not. That really bothers me. Yeah. So if we do want to start shifting to a two-man pivot out of this 3-5-2, to accommodate maybe some makeshift fullbacks or even just support the attack a little bit more. I don't really necessarily know, because I still have Luca out there. So Paredes is then battling Rabiot for a spot, who's been one of our more consistent guys throughout the whole year. So I think Paredes, it's just this uphill fight that I don't see him winning, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I think Paredes, he's got a rotational role, and that should be just fine, to be honest. If you could change up Luca for when he has to come out and put Paredes in, and if Paredes can find little moments like he did yesterday where he can help and contribute, then that's great. But I think right now it's a stretch to say he needs to start.
I think it ruins the balance you currently have with the Locatelli, Rabiot, and one of the youngsters. I actually agree with Alex P for once. He's made some good points about Paredes. He gave a great ball to Chiesa yesterday, but does one good play equal, a start in one of the biggest matches of the season? I'm going to say no. He hasn't been consistent enough for me.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about Keane winning Serie A Player of the Month in November, and apparently still not good enough for everybody. But now one pass to Chiesa and Paredes needs to start. I don't think so. Not for me, anyways. So it sounds like Lucci's in the same. I think Paredes, like I said, he's got a lot more to show before earning that spot. Yeah. The last thing I want to get to is going back to this thing where we're just so quick and easy to give out starting roles and starting positions and whatnot. They need to be earned and fought for. Paredes came in, contributed. You know what? Keep it going the next time. Keep it going the time after that. And then we can start having a serious discussion about starting minutes, right? But hey, right now, it ain't broke. Don't fix it. Okay, we're on the offensive. We're climbing that ladder rung by rung. Let's see what happens today, okay? Because we got a couple games we'll have eyes on. And Sampdoria, continue the Vialli tribute, okay? Let's hope for that. Juventini, hey, we're going to gear up and get ready for that big Friday match against Napoli. We're going to have a match day live that morning. And then, of course, I'm going to bring you the watch along for that game, which is sure to be an intense one. Okay. Yeah, let's keep things rolling. All right. I'll have daily update videos on the news, keeping you guys in the loop all the way through as we continue with the build up for this pivotal match against Napoli. Lucci, absolute pleasure having you on, brother. And yeah, we're starting off the season right. Let's see if we can keep it rolling. Live chat. Thank all of you. One last reminder to just like the video while you're here. Everybody that's made comments on the Chiesa shirt, the Vialli sweater, all that. Our store last day to get 23% off. Okay. You guys are amazing. Enjoy the rest of your weekends. I'll see you tomorrow on the daily update video. And let's start getting ready for Napoli. All right. Fino alla fine, Forza Juve. They were so quick to dance on our grave, but hey, we never die, baby. We never die. All right. Talk to you all soon. Ciao.
Ciao.